Lawmakers in Tennessee think they solved a big problem when they passed a new law that requires landlords to give their contact information to tenants. But guess what? Landlords were already doing that. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's coming out of the state of Tennessee, and it has to do with a new law that lawmakers passed that requires landlords to give their contact information or their property manager's contact information to tenants. Now, this sounds kind of dumb to me, okay? It's not just kind of dumb. It sounds extremely dumb because, you know what? 99.999999999, okay? Even the bad landlords, they still want to get paid. So why in the heck would a landlord not give their contact information to a tenant? I mean, so somebody, somebody just randomly walking down the street and like, hey, can I rent this place? And some random person just comes up and like, sure, just give me some money. And then they just move in. No, okay? We have leases, okay? Even the people who don't have leases, they at least give their phone number to the tenant so that the tenant can call them if the house is burning down or something. This is stupid. This is extremely stupid, okay? And they might have some one-off weird case, but they're going to pass a whole law. They're going to waste time and then, go and parade around like they did something great. Well, they're idiots, okay? They wasted time with this. This doesn't solve anything. It doesn't improve anything. And you know what? They'll probably find some way to punish a good landlord using this law because that's pretty much the only thing laws do. They punish the good landlords while the bad landlords, they keep doing what they want to do. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. So, first of all, have you ever heard of a landlord who didn't give any contact information to a tenant? Okay? I mean, none. Absolutely ridiculous. The only case that I can really think of would be if you are a new property owner, like you bought the property extremely recently, right? And you are in the process of switching, ownership between the previous owner and the new owner. And there's a small period of time in there where, it's a little bit confusing and perhaps you don't have the new property management company hasn't come and introduced themselves yet. Okay? Or the new landlord hasn't come and introduced themselves yet. So that's a very small period of time, and it's usually after the sale of a property. Okay? It isn't anything that's long term. It's completely ridiculous that they even passed this law. But anyway, I'm going to get into this article and tell you what it says, and tell you what I think as we go through it. So let's get into it. This article is coming from WBIR.com 10 News, and it says, new law requires landlords to provide renters with contact information for property manager and maintenance. An attorney said this law gives tenants more rights and helps landlords get in touch with them. This landlord's an idiot if they think this gives tenants more rights. Because like I said, the grand majority, overwhelming majority of landlords already did this. They didn't need a law to tell them to do something that they already did. It's kind of like saying, hey, you guys, we need to put a law in place to tell people that when you're renting a unit, you have to pay the rent. Well, maybe they do need a law for that because a lot of tenants, they don't know that. But anyway, let's get into the article and see what it says. Renters will have a little more power in some Tennessee counties in 2025. This is thanks to a new law that requires landlords to provide renters with contact information for the property manager, the person responsible for providing maintenance at a rental unit, and a platform for landlords and tenants to communicate online. Daryl Winfrey, the staff attorney at Legal Aid of East Tennessee in Maryville, said the law is important because oftentimes people are renting from someone who doesn't necessarily live in the area where the property is located. It will require landlords to provide information about how they can be contacted as far as needed repairs or service of process, Winfrey said, basically making sure there is that connection between the landlord and tenant. That information can flow both ways. Yeah. So I'm a long distance landlord, or at least I used to be, okay? All my properties now are here in Omaha, but before this, before I sold my properties last year, I owned properties in Kansas City as well, and I had a property management company taking care of those properties, right? And so the last thing I wanted was, because I had dozens of tenants, okay? Do I want dozens of tenants giving me a call from Kansas City because they don't think my property manager is doing a good enough job? No, I do not. Okay, so I don't want them to have my contact information. If you own a property under an LLC, let's say you're a larger landlord and you own hundreds of properties. Do you want the one controlling person, he's getting phone calls all day from disgruntled tenants? No, that's why you have a property manager who is fielding calls. Okay, now if they're not doing their job, that's one thing, but you know what? They have the contact information. They have the contact information for these people because you know what? We want to get paid. We want to get paid. We want to make sure our properties are well maintained. And the very few landlords who don't want to maintain their properties, you know what? They're so minuscule. They already have laws in place to take care of those people. They already have laws and rules and regulations that make sure that, hey, you're not fixing your property, we're going to have to step in and start fining you or whatever. So they don't need to pass this law here. The only thing this law does here is it will somehow, and this is what I said a little bit earlier, it will somehow find a way to go after some small mom and pop landlord who is doing everything right, and screw them over. That's what this law will do, and if I read deeper into it, I'm sure I'll see that, okay? Winfrey said some property owners are some property owners are from out of state or in West Tennessee, so people in East Tennessee don't always know how to get a hold of them. We end up having people that come to us regularly who are unable to get in touch with their landlord, who have these needs, he said. I really do believe that people want to be able to help others, to be able to get these needs addressed, and be able to offer their tenant the best customer experience. But sometimes the people who need to be made aware of those things just don't have the opportunity to be made aware of those things. That's a bunch of garbage. He's like, well, I have people coming to me all the time. Like this is some sort of big problem. I doubt it. Okay. I mean, of all the landlord and tenant issues, getting in contact with your landlord is probably not the issue. Now, what I will bet, and this is something that I was thinking of just a second ago, right? That these people who are trying to get in contact with the tenant, they might be trying to call them after hours. They might be calling the wrong phone number, but that doesn't mean the landlord did not provide them with the contact information. Okay? There's also the issue of sometimes landlords change property managers and then you're calling the wrong person. But you know what? These are small communications errors that are temporary. Temporary, small, short-term communication errors are no reason to pass a statewide law. That's ridiculous. And like I said, it's a minuscule. It's minuscule. Think of how many landlords there are in most places. We're talking about tens of thousands of landlords across the entire state. And meanwhile, how many? Oh yeah, maybe once a week. Somebody says, I couldn't get in contact with my landlord. That doesn't mean they didn't have the phone number. That just means that the landlord didn't answer when they called. Okay? So like I said, at most, this is a temporary issue, and yet they spent all this time and effort passing this law, and somehow it's going to, what it's going to end up being is you're going to have a landlord and tenant relationship. Let's say you're a single family landlord who owns one single family home, right? And you're renting it out. You decide, hey, I'm going to change my telephone number, right? You forget to tell the tenant. It happens. Okay, I just got a new phone myself with a new phone number on it, and I'm still going through all the different things, all the different databases and systems online, trying to make sure my new telephone number is in those systems, because you know what? I could easily lose contact with the people who I need to contact if that new phone number isn't in there. Well, let's just say you forgot and the tenant is trying to call you and you don't realize it, and next thing you know, they're reporting you to the city or the state or whatever and saying, hey, this landlord didn't give me their phone number and I don't have good contact information for them, right? And then they come down and they fine you. They fine you however much. I don't know how much the fine or the penalty would be, right? And then you're just like, oh, I just forgot. Here's my phone number. Problem solved? Yeah, that would be it, right? But now you have to pay that fine on top of it. See, this is the ridiculousness. This is the stupid sort of crap that happens. And meanwhile, you were a good landlord 100% otherwise. You just forgot to give them your new telephone number. That isn't you purposefully avoiding the tenant. That isn't you trying to be a bad landlord. That's just accidents happen. Sometimes we make mistakes. And rather than having the government intervene in those mistakes, we should be able to resolve them on our own. That's my personal opinion. But what do you think, okay? Do you think I'm right? Do you think this law is dumb as hell? Okay? Put a comment in the comment section down below.